They told you Columbus discovered a new world, but Howard Zinn uncovered the truth, a story of violence, greed and silence buried by history books. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. This is your host coming to you from our nation's capital. It is October 12th, which means that we are celebrating, or some are celebrating Columbus Day. I know in some places it's Indigenous Peoples Day. We have other people celebrating it as a day of mourning, and in fact, in some places, they're even calling for the abolition of Columbus Day altogether because of what Christopher Columbus represents. So let's talk about what exactly he represents. And I want to share with you a book that was written, gosh, more than 50 years ago, but it's still very relevant today. It's called What Did Columbus Really Discover? The Untold Truth by Howard Zinn. Howard Zinn was a historian who was considered a progressive historian. He was actually a teacher. He taught at various colleges and universities, and he's probably best known for his book, A People's History of the United States. This book, What Did Columbus Really Discover?, is broken into 3 sections. Part 1, he talks about the course of empire, and in this section, he really challenges the idea that Europeans were superior and that their exploration and conquest of other lands was somehow justified. He talks about how there were many different paths to empire and that the European path was not necessarily the only or the best one. He challenged the idea that Europeans were superior and that their exploration and conquest of other lands was justified. And he also talked about the role of racism and racial prejudice in the conquest of the Americas. Part 2 is called The Other Americas. In this section, Zinn gives a more complete and accurate picture of the Americas before Columbus arrived. He talks about the many different cultures and civilizations that existed here, including the Inca, the Aztec, the Maya, the Iroquois, and many others. He also talks about the diversity of life in the Americas and how Columbus and his crew were just a small part of that. In Part 3, he talks about the legacy of Columbus. He talks about how Columbus is remembered as a hero in many parts of the world, but also how he's become a symbol of oppression and racism in other parts of the world. I think this is an important book to read because it challenges us to think about history in a different way. It challenges us to think about the history of the Americas in a more complete and accurate way. And it challenges us to think about the legacy of Columbus in a more honest and critical way. So if you want to learn more about the real history of Columbus and the impact he had on the world, I encourage you to check out this book, What Did Columbus Really Discover? By Howard Zinn. You can find it in many libraries and bookstores, and I think it's also available online. And while you're at it, you might also want to check out Zinn's other books, especially his book, A People's History of the United States. That's also a really great read. This is a book that I think everyone should read. Everyone should read this book. I mean, obviously, it's not a light beach read. It's not something you're gonna want to curl up with at night before going to bed. But it's a very important book, and I think everyone should read it. Everyone. Thanks so much for watching this video. This has been your host from the Library of Congress. And remember, you can find all of these books and more on our shelves in the Library of Congress. Happy Columbus Day, everyone, or as some are calling it today, Indigenous Peoples Day.